So as the song goes, even lovers need a holiday, time away from each other. It's hard for me to say sorry. Who sings it, Dennis? Come on, tell me. Come on. Chicago.
Yeah, but FQ, I'm gonna say to that is like, as a boomer, that's a little bit more your generation.
It's classic, beautiful, pure music. Though Chicago put out a lot of shit, they have like 3 good songs. I don't know why they were famous. There's a lot of shit out there. Like 3 good songs, and this was one of the good songs. Give them credit.
Yeah, it was. They do have some good stuff. And I like them. I actually saw Chicago and Air Supply together. So that was just like some big old, like, everybody sing-along love fest type of a thing. That was a long time ago. I was more used to going to things like, Iron Maiden, Metallica. I never saw Metallica, but groups like that. So
you're one of the few people in the world who would know the song Inagata Davida.
Yeah, Inagata Davida. Isn't that Iron Butterfly?
Yeah, it is. Not Iron Maiden, Iron Butterfly.
Iron Butterfly.
But you would know it. There you go. That's why I love you, man. That's why you're my friend. You know your music. Okay, so too much togetherness. I think 99.9% relationships that I know, people are looking for space, time away from each other. And I'm probably the 0.1%. I don't know about you. I think if you need, once you're in a relationship, if you need time on your own, just, go to hell. You don't deserve to be in a relationship. You do not need a relationship. You just need a sideshow. If you're in a solid relationship, you should never, ever do anything on your own, ever again. And I believe that like a religion, man. And to my misery, the amazing part is, and a lot of women here would endorse, the moment you say that, sweetheart, I want to give you all the time. I want to spend all the time with you. I want you to be with me all the time. Every woman would be like, wow, what a man. But then when they get that man, they become so miserable. It's like burning hell for them, and they want out.
I'm going to qualify that. That's young women.
No, any woman. Any woman wants a man to give her attention, and they think there's no such thing as too much attention until they meet me, and they go like, whoa, you're a psycho. Get away from me. And that is fundamentally the reason why each and every one of my breakup, that was the reason for each and every one of my breakups.
You're too possessive?
No, not possessive. I say, once you're in a relationship, there is no two people. I mean, my friends from school, if they want to meet, you have to meet with wives. I cannot do this, men's thing, and I'm sorry, maybe I can say it in this part of the world, you can't. I don't do gay conventions, all right? You want to hang out, you bloody 55-year-olds? You want to hang out, men on you? That's stupid. We're all married, bring your wives. We'll hang out together. I do not go out there.
You're talking men's only stuff.
There's no such thing. Or women's only stuff. There's no girls' night or boys' night. No such thing.
Okay.
Everything I do, even if I'm traveling for work,
yeah,
my girl's going to go with me. My business meetings, she's going to be with me. All my clients all over the world know my wife like they know me. They've probably never seen me alone. Work meetings, business meetings, board meetings, she's sitting with me.
That's really interesting. That's just really interesting because I do not feel this way at all. And the funny thing is like you mentioned in work, all of my clients know my wife as well. They have never met her. However, even though they've never met her, they all like her way better than me. So,
well, that doesn't say much. I mean, man, obviously.
So I agree with you that once you're together, and now you're a unit. However, I am just going to say, and the reason I made the comment about younger women prefer oh my gosh, so much attention. As I've gotten older, what I've seen, at least here in the United States, is that the older people get, it's more like, yeah, I really like you, but like I need my space. So I think that, April and I have to be honest, we're a little bit different. We're a little bit different than a lot of couples we have been around over here in the States. It's just that, that we prefer our time together. So whereas a lot of our friends, and this has caused, a lot of friendships, casual relationships, and stuff like that have gone by the wayside simply because April and I chose to do things together. And so it was, I agree with that. But I also do believe that it's okay to be independent and autonomous. So depending upon the context and if both parties agree. So I'll just come out and say it. Last night, I was in an absolute shit mood yesterday. Listen, I'm a human. I worked a lot of days. I was finishing a 72-hour fast of water only. So, I was angry. My emotions were all over the place and so forth. And April, she called me. She had a late night at work. She called me and said, "Oh, when I get home, I want to talk about this." I'm like, "Yeah, we're not doing that." I said, "I am just telling you, I am not capable of doing that. I'm happy to sit together. We can watch television and fall asleep. However, I am not talking. I am not doing what you want to do. And I basically am fine to be in the same room together, but I need to be alone because otherwise I'm going to be an asshole towards you."
Okay, I agree that if you don't have the capacity to do something, that's fine. But if I'm in a shit mood, the one person I want to be with is my girl because she's the only one who's going to make me feel better. Yes, if she says, "Let's go out doing whatever," I'm going to say, "I don't have the patience, I don't have the energy." She says, "Well, let's discuss this, not tonight," but I would still stay with her. I can't, no.
Understood. Yeah.
Okay, and economically, God has been very kind to me all my life. So from the very beginning of my relationships, when Daddy was taking care of me or when I was taking care of myself, either way, I've had my bills paid. Alhamdulillah, God is kind. So I say, you know what? We'll work when we need to work. That's fine, and then we're just going to hang out and have fun. So all my life, this is what I've done, and it's everywhere. And maybe it's in my DNA. By the way, maybe it's in my DNA, because my father, all his life, and my mother, God rest her soul, my father going back to 1960s. When they got married, late 50s, we've got pictures. My father was away from my mother maybe just like 3 years, where he was working in Saudi Arabia on a project for a while, and that was, and we were young, we couldn't be left alone. So that was the only time he probably spent a few months away. Otherwise, they've always traveled together, worked together, everything. We've had our home and office at walking distance. My mother was always in the space. I have an uncle who is a very powerful ex-bureaucrat of the country, and you go to his wall, and his wall is full of pictures sitting at the United Nations with the American presidents and world leaders, and you will notice one thing always: his wife is standing next to him. Always, all my life, I've never met them alone.
Interesting.
So maybe it's in my DNA. Maybe it's just my family. This is how we men are built. We idolize our women, and we just treat them like royalty. And the whole world, universe revolves around the women in our family, and they're everywhere. So I don't believe in the space business. Enough about my particular situation. I believe if you need space from each other, there is something fundamentally wrong in your relationship. What are you running away from?
But I agree. Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, if you need space, okay, I understand what you're saying. And as far as I need my own time. I need so many nights out with my friends. And I think what happens in many cases where I've seen a lot of challenges in relationships is that one person I'm just going to come out and say it, is they get way too associate. I have some notes on this over here that I actually wrote something the other day, and I think that in many cases what happens is in a relationship we get too attached to our own independence and autonomy. And so when we fight for our own independence, and please understand, I've already made my feelings very well known about going through each other's phones and personal belongings and everything else. It's absolute bullshit. I'm not saying anybody has anything to hide. It's just a matter of respect. It's a matter of a privacy boundary. And so, I think each couple has to work that out on their own. But when you continue to fight for your own independence and autonomy, at the end of the day, you could end up like really, really creating a negative environment or headspace for your partner. And at the end of the day, like, we have to take and put each other first. I don't care how we got together or I don't care. It's just simply that this is your partner. Look, and if you hate each other, you hate each other. That's a completely different deal. We're talking about two people that want to be together, and they're just trying to work through stuff. So I totally get what you're saying, and I just think that sometimes we fight way too hard to have our own autonomy and independence. And when you use words like I, me, mine versus we, us, and ours, we, us, and ours are words that empower to bring a couple together.
Okay, we're both saying the same thing, different language. You said something interesting. April called you yesterday. She wanted to talk. You said, no, we can watch a movie. We can stay together, but we will not have that conversation. You said exactly the right thing. See, you didn't say, I don't want to see you girls tonight. I'm going out with the boys. I'm going out for a beer. I'm going with my friends. You didn't say that. I said, I'm here. I'm feeling like shit. We can't have the conversation. Come home, we'll watch TV. So I agree with that completely, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Also, you said something about people wanting space, getting away from each other. If you are trying to look for that space, if you're still trying to look for that individuality, I can guarantee you, man, eventually that individuality will become so big because you're still nurturing a life without the other. Right. In the short term, it looks fine. Medium term, it looks fine. But in the long run, at some point in life, that individuality is going to become big enough for it to become a wedge or a point of contention between two people, because you're still nurturing your singularity. You're not nurturing the togetherness. When I say together, I don't mean you keep sitting in the same room. But you know what? She's doing her thing, I'm doing my thing. But beyond that, I'm going to really prove this to you here. See this? This recliner is for Bina. I can be doing my stuff, and she does her stuff sitting here. I said, don't sit there. Do your thing sitting here. All right? And so we sort of really together. But kitchen's, 50 feet away. So she'd be in the kitchen. It's all right. But if I'm going to go out for the evening, it'll never be without her. If I ever go out without her, God forbid, it basically means we've had a shit fight, man. We fought too hard.
Yeah. And I would say the only time I do things without April, or we do things without each other, is for business. So she's still, and listen, I mean, we have run a business together before, and previously, and it was fine. I mean, like anybody else, when we first started, we had to work through some challenges and things that came up. Sure. But we did fine, and then situations changed. We don't do that anymore. Mainly because what she decided, we were building this business together with, to speak and do like couples workshops and things like that. Sure. Mm-hmm. And what she found is that she just really, really, really enjoys what she does professionally for a living. It's not that she doesn't like working with couples. She just really enjoys what she does. So she backed out of our business. We basically stopped that whole thing. And she does her thing. So when she's had 2 really late days, I mean, it would be inappropriate for me to just hang out with her at her place of employment. If I go out by myself or I travel, it's always for business, as opposed to, I think that's a cultural maybe just a cultural difference, but
no. Again, we're saying the same thing, different language. Imperative separation, of course. I mean, if you don't have a choice but to be away, that's all right. I mean, you just have something going on. I mean, like Bina's in Karachi right now. I mean, she's been there for a month because her father was ill. So, that doesn't mean that's not a problem.
You're not separated. You're just not physically together. You're not separated. There is no distance. You're just in different locations.
We're not taking each other's. We're not taking space. Unfortunately, I need to be here. I need to look after my dad. She had to go look after her dad, and that's all right.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'm going to start building a life and have a party and boys' night and boys are going to come and hang out. No, that's not going to happen.
Right. Okay, understood. Very good.
Like a very dear friend of ours called yesterday. Listen, hey, we're in the neighborhood. We're going to drop in. I said, you know what? No, dude. Bina's out of town. And when she's out, I'm sorry, we're not socializing. They're like, what? Yeah. I said, no, come back next week. I'm not going to hang out. I've got to go to sleep, man. While she's away, I'm not going to hang out with you guys. Come back next week. And they're like, okay. Because they also like that. So when you're like that, all your friends are like that too, by the way, interestingly.
Yeah. Well, and that's I was going to say that earlier, is that there were times in our relationship where friends they would get very upset because I didn't participate in boys' nights, and I came from a work environment that was very, very much encouraged. The American Fire Service is nothing but a big, huge fraternity and boys club. So, I was encouraged to do that. I never liked that. I kind of see it like this. I married April for a reason. We've certainly had our challenges, ups and downs, so forth, like everybody else. But at the end of the day, we got married for a reason, and that's because we enjoy each other's company. We like being around each other. When I have seen, and this is where I really just started to make a change as I've gotten older. So when I would travel for professional reasons previously, I'm like, oh, well, I get to go to cool places and so forth and so forth. But at the end of the day, it was like, I don't really have anybody to share this with. I just believe that experiences are always better when you can share them with somebody. Yeah. And I just prefer that. And she's the one that I always think of. So if anything good in my life happens, if anything bad in my life happens, if there's just some stupid, random, funny thing that happens, she is always the first person I think of. Always.
Thank you very much.
Always. And people have said to her, they're like, "Oh, well, you don't like us because you don't like you. Why don't you like us?" Her coworkers. And she's like, "What are you talking about? I love you. You never go on girls' trips with us. It's important." And here's what happens. Here's what got to is that she ended up having to tell her friends, "Listen, my husband is not controlling me. I'm choosing." Because that's how it was taken, is, "Oh, your husband won't let you. Dennis won't let you do anything." I don't let her do anything. I don't allow or disallow her to do anything. She does whatever the F she wants. But that's what I want. I don't want to be married to a sheep. I don't want to be married to a submissive. I want a partner.
Yeah.
So well, I was really kind of hoping that, because I've been a little bit full of piss and vinegar this week, so I was kind of hoping you and me would fight, but it sounds like, once again, we're on the same page, because we're just that fucking smart.
No, exactly. How do you fucking... Logic is logic, man. What's right is right. Logic is logic, all right? Okay, now, one thing before we go to comments, because Laurie's making some interesting stuff, and I'm going to go to that. But you also mentioned that, privacy, don't check each other's stuff. And you've always said that, want to do that. And in jest, I've always said, no, I want to check, and I want my phone to be checked. But, the fact of the matter is, we don't, because we never have time away from each other. So what's there to hide? We always, alhamdulillah, together. So we don't have a private time for a private conversation or whatever. It's all... We have the same bloody space all the time. Thank God. Hallelujah, man. So absolutely, there's no need to check.
There isn't. Yeah? No, absolutely not. And that's the beauty of it, is if you're still in that situation where it's like, oh my gosh, I need to look at their phone. I dealt with a couple last week, and seriously, I've been dealing with them for a few weeks now, and it all comes down. They just continue to go through each other's stuff. I'm telling you, FQ, if you were to take and pick up my phone, it's important that I communicate on a regular basis through IM and text. If other people were to take and pick that up and see the words and without our relationship involved in that, look, if you and I give each other this emoji, we know that that's okay. That's basically giving one another a hug. That's our love language, right?
Yeah.
But if other people were to pick that up and read it, our communications, they would go, "Oh my God, what the F is wrong with these two guys? They just talk shit. They do this because they don't understand the context." So when you go through somebody else's phone, and you see text messages or you see deleted messages, you're always gonna listen. Human nature, you're always gonna go to the most negative thing. Yeah. So stay out of it. It's the same as when people ask me questions. Well, hey, what about this? I'm like, do you really want to know the answer to that? Make sure you really want an answer to that question before I do, because once I say it, it can't be taken back. So again, you don't, when you're looking at somebody else's stuff or going through their belongings or whatever, you're missing huge amounts of context, and all you're doing is presupposing and assuming and everything else and creating drama in your own mind. So yeah, I'd love to get some of the comments. There are really some really good ones here today.
Just a quick note before going. Whenever you have the need for space, whenever you feel the need to check on each other's communication, telephone, whatever, you have a fundamental, in my opinion, you have a fundamental, foundational core problem in your relationship which you're not addressing. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes.
So let's start with I've got two people. Marnie Lee's here. Hey, Marnie, how you doing? Shared experience is important, but it's important to maintain independence and to be separate people. Then you grow. I don't agree with you. You have to grow together.
So, okay. So I just want to say, like Marnie, I appreciate the comment, and I agree with what FQ said. Is you have to take and grow together. What I'm going to say is that this to me, this comment strikes me as the whole thing of like, relationships are a 50-50 proposition. Listen to me closely. Bullshit! That's not true. You have been lied to. That is not true. Relationships must be 100%, 100%. So I agree that you need a whole person. I don't want to be married to half a person. Like, I want an entire, complete human. We all have our individual experiences, but we always come back like together. We check in throughout the day to come together. We come together at the end of the day and we share our individual experiences so that we grow together. So thank you, Marnie. I really appreciate what you said.
All right. Laurie said, hey, Laurie, how then do you deal with a spouse who may be, okay, I think that's got, who may be
I think that's the next one.
Right. Sorry. Who may be in the room but is miles away from you in conflict. I have to talk through conflict because I'm emotional and I can't stand tension of spending time with my spouse when they aren't emotional. Yeah, okay, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%, but that's what I'm saying. If this is happening to you, there is a fundamental problem. It may not be a problem big enough to break you down. It may not be a problem big enough for you to end your relationship. But these, in my opinion, these are all indicators of a problematic situation, which may be a very small problematic situation, which may be a temporary problem, but it is a problem. If someone is not emotionally available, it's unfair, and it's unfair of them to be that way, and it is a problem. Maybe not a big enough. Maybe it's just a passing problem, but it is a problem.
Lori, my friend, your statement, it actually brings more questions to me than an actual statement. So, conflict because I'm an emotional, here's my question, love, does spending time with my spouse when they aren't emotionally available? My question is, what if they told you? What if they told you? What if the situation was framed? What if your spouse said, hey, Lori, I'm just not emotionally available today. I love you. It has nothing to do with you. Like, I'm just in a bad headspace. Would that change it? Because I can tell you that made worlds of difference for April and I once we gave each other permission to do that. It's just like I told her yesterday. I mean, what we weren't talking about anything. She didn't want to talk about anything big deal. She wanted to talk about buying a new couch. So it was like, I'm not going to look at couches tonight. I'm not checking fabrics. I'm not doing any of that nonsense because, like, my head literally, like, there's times, and literally all I have to say to April, and she really doesn't prefer this when I say this, I just simply text her, hey, love, like, I am not emotionally available. My mind is a bucket of fuck right now. So I'm just asking that, like, we don't get into anything deep. Because she knows what that means is that, like, I will have a tendency to take something out on you. So, like, it gives us that time it frames the environment. Go ahead.
Okay, but Laurie did mention that if the other person is miles away from you in conflict, I have to talk through a conflict because I'm emotional. And I can't. So this person is not just, screwed up, but this is maybe they've had a tiff, maybe they've had a fight or an argument, and now the other person is stonewalling her. Maybe this person is emotionally blocking her. That is not nice of the other person. I'm sorry. So,
Laura, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go through and find this, and I'll do this for you because we have a long history together. So, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and go find the video that April and I created about the rules of engagement. So sometimes I think we just need rules of engagement and how to take and handle a conflict and that sort of thing. Because what you're talking about is that now you feel, when we're emotionally unavailable during a conflict, it creates a vagueness and a vacuum. Anytime there's a vacuum in a relationship, anytime there's a vacuum anywhere, that void will be filled. As humans, we will always find a way to fill negative stuff. Lori, thank you so much. I appreciate your honesty and your willingness to share that with us. Thanks, love.
So, Dennis, you want to take this one, man?
Yeah. Wa alaikum salam.
There you go.
DT's been learning some languages. I'm just gonna say. So on Google Translate, and that's kind of where I've learned most of it, is some of my Urdu that I'm trying to learn. Is the problem that I'm discovering is that it always writes it in the Arabic with the Arabic characters, or I'm assuming they're Arabic. They look Arabic, so it's always those types of characters instead of giving me like an English translation. However, the other interesting thing is that when I see my friends that speak Urdu from Pakistan, when they post the translation, it comes out with all kinds of crazy English letters. So it's just a really interesting. I wish that it would do that for me. So as I don't understand the Arabic at all.
Well, what you could do is you could copy the Arabic, the Urdu script, and transliterate it in Google Transliterate. Do you know about this tool? Google.com/transliterate, and you can choose Urdu, and then you paste that. No, how will that work? That's English to Urdu. No, it's more. I'll find out a way of doing it.
Cool.
Doing that for you. Don't worry. I'll figure it out. All right, Khushbu. First of all, Khushbu, I just realized, man, that's a gorgeous name. I mean, you're a gorgeous girl yourself, but Khushbu is a beautiful name. Dennis, do you know what Khushbu means? Fragrance, yeah. Well, it's more than fragrance. It's Khushbu is like a beautiful fragrance.
Sure.
It's more than a fragrance. All right, I will not say not ever again a room or conversation or relationship or institution that requires me to abandon myself. What? Okay.
Okay, let me.
Not sure.
I will not stay, not ever again, in a room or conversation, relationship or institution. And you shouldn't. You shouldn't. I mean, I'm just gonna come out and say this: if you're with somebody that wants you to abandon who you are, I don't know why they would want to be with you.
Oh, okay. Again, that's a problem. That is an indication of a problem.
Yeah. And so please understand, we're not saying that it's not that we are encouraging people to have their independent. Don't change who you are. Grow together. Grow together. This is I just had this conversation with a couple couple weeks ago, which was that, hey, you at some point you both had bad behavior, you both have been fighting, and now you're going on fighting for 3 months. So you're either going to have to choose to put it away and make new commitments and rules moving forward, or you're going to have to leave each other because
Yeah. So these are all indicators of a problem. These are all indicators of a problem.
Yeah, Kush, but don't give up who you are. You absolutely shouldn't. That's who you are, and that who we are at our core is what makes us beautiful, and especially to our partner. I would never want April to change who she is, but I am going to say I love who she's becoming.
Yeah. Sometimes people take for granted the space and start cheating, and that's the point where relationships break and you lose the trust. Yeah, like I said, the moment you are still constructing the individual, as long as you're looking for space, it is a problem. I'm going to just keep saying it's a problem. How that problem manifests itself, how it projects itself, how it becomes, what it creates is a long discussion, but it is a problem. Now, in my opinion, again, I keep saying in my opinion. So then that means you don't trust Rafi, I would never trust you, girl. You're too hot to be trusted. Come on. And you're too much of a psycho. I wouldn't trust you. That's why I don't show other people my phone. Thank God for that. Hallelujah. I don't want. Can you imagine your phone falling into people's hands? No, that'd be like national disaster. Hiding notifications, phone create too much space for imagination, so be true to. Well, again, like Dennis said earlier, I'm willing to show you, and I've also said this in one of the shows, I'm willing to share everything as long as you're willing to deal with listening to it. I can tell you everything I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But can you handle that? Dennis?
I'm going to say, yeah, Kushbu, like, here's the deal. Like, I really just, if I get to a place where I feel, and April and I have been here, and I won't go back to this. If we go back to a place where we think we have to hide stuff from each other, I'm done. Like, I don't, it's not a relationship I want to be in. So I listen, and please understand, like, I screw up. It's not like we have this amazing thing. I'm still human. So I screw up. It's simply about taking and owning it. And we can't move forward as a couple. We can't, like, be on the same page unless I own my own bad behavior. So, like, I just think that sometimes, it's easy. I'm going to just come out and say it's always better to just come forward and go, hey, you know what? Like, I had lunch with somebody today, and after thinking about it, I want to apologize to you. And I did this about a year and a half ago. I met somebody as a female, and we'd known each other a long time. We met at a coffee shop, had a coffee together, and we actually, like, we're just catching up. That's not uncommon over. So, but in April, Anna just went and did it. What I said to her was, hey, I want to let you know, I feel like I was maybe being deceitful. She's like, well, what do you mean? I said, this is what happened. And I said, I want you to know I'm acknowledging it. And basically, like, I should have talked to you about this. And I don't feel like I didn't consider your feelings. I didn't do anything wrong, and I never apologized for that. But it was saying, hey, I didn't consider your feelings or how this could make you feel. So in the future, I will make sure I bring this to you. And guess what? She's like, wow, well, I feel a little disrespected. I'm going to need some time to get over that. But, like, I feel more appreciative that you brought it to me and we talked about it, and there's no problem. So she needed, when I told her I met with another woman, like, and she knows this person. She knows my friend very well. But it was like that whole amygdala kick, like, and she's like, hey, give me 5 minutes, I'll get over it. It's not a big deal because of the way you handled it.
See, I always say this: if you have a dispute, say sorry. It'll take 1 minute, and it's free. Fight about it for 2 hours, and it'll never go away. It's going to stick for the rest of your life. If there's a dispute, talk about it, apologize, say thank you, admit. It's going to take 2 minutes, and it's over. If you hang on to it, if you create a crisis, that's going to stick with you till your grave.
Absolutely. And I just want to kind of give a little bit of a life hack right now, which is that if somebody, especially your significant other, I'm not saying this in every case, but your significant other, if they come to you and say, hey, you know what, like, I apologize for this, and your first response should be, you know what, you're forgiven, and I love you. Because that helps you. It's not even about releasing them from their behavior. That helps you. So life hack, as soon as your partner replies or apologizes, just say, you know what, I forgive you, you're forgiven, and I love you very much. And that sets the emotion in your own head. It's healthier for you. Thank you.
Well, I think that's a show by itself, so I'm making a note. And I promise you, I'm not making a note to myself. I will message it to you.
Right here. Thank you, Lori. It would probably change if they would tell me and let me know what's up. So everybody watching that's in a relationship right now, I cannot stress this enough. Framing. There are times that I just simply go to April, and framing is a concept of basically setting the scene, right? So we're setting the conversation up. It's giving it context before I say something stupid. So I can say, hey, you know what? Literally, like April, I should literally just tell her, like, hey, listen, I'm not capable tonight. I'm not doing it. Like, I'm a shit show inside of my head. I got to take a break for me so that I can be better for you. Set it up, folks. Let your partner know where your head's at. And let them know, hey, like, I'm a cluster F up here. You didn't, not like your words are doing this. You're doing this. You're creating this. Your behavior. No cause and effect. Own your own feelings because they're your feelings. And now that's all I'm going to give you, because that's just a little tip of some relationship communication workshops that FQ and I are working on that we're about to start launching here in the near future. So stay tuned for that, because it really, I can tell you, barring big huge things, the majority of relationship challenges come from an inability to communicate effectively.
So last comment. Rafia, even my imagination cannot imagine.
No, they wouldn't, Rafia. They would go, oh my gosh, that guy Dennis, he is such a brilliant genius.
Yeah, but I think there's more scandal going on there, Dennis. What's up, man? Not good, bro.
Rafia, you're lagging. And Kushbu agrees.
All right.
Outstanding.
All right, that's that, I guess.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Until tomorrow night. We'll see you then.
See you then. Bye.